Hello again and welcome to the channel. Now today I thought I'd talk a little bit about giving plants as gifts, as we are very much in the season of gift giving. And you may think that you've left it too late, but I don't think you have. You just need to look at your garden and even your houseplants in a slightly different way. Now very excitingly, I received this plant in the post on I think Monday this week. It's quite an unusual fruit variety that you might not have heard of before, and I'm going to talk a bit more about it at the end of the video, so I do suggest you stick around for that. I'm also going to talk a little bit about what to do with plants that you receive at this time of the year, because I don't really think the soil is warm enough to be planting them directly in the ground. Or at least it's definitely not ideal. So why is it then that plants make such fantastic gifts? Well, I can think of three main reasons, but you might be able to think of more. The first thing to say is that generally people love plants and people love to receive plants, especially if you're giving things that they don't already have in their garden or in their house. A few years back, I gifted a sedum to my parents called Herbstfreude or Autumn Joy, and it's quite a common plant actually. You see it in a lot of municipal plantings because it flowers very late in the season and it's fantastic for pollinators. But you know what, my parents didn't have it in their garden and their garden didn't have much interest in the autumn, so it was a really fantastic gift to give to them. It also was a completely free gift, which is my second point. So I actually had this plant as spare. It had propagated itself in my garden and it cost me absolutely nothing for me to give that plant to them. So you know what, we're at that time of year where things are very expensive, and if you can find a way to save a few pennies or cents wherever you are, then why not? And my final thought is that it's also a very personal and memorable gift. So I've got things in my garden that people have given to me and I can remember who gave it to me and more or less how long I've had it. I remember once an old friend gave me a cactus plant when I was at school, and I had that cactus plant for years and years and years. And to be honest, it kind of outlived the friendship. And you know, you're not going to remember who gave you that pair of socks in a few years' time, but you are going to remember who gave you that plant. If you've been given any fantastic plants as gifts, do let me know in the comments section. And likewise, if you've been given any nightmare plants, like maybe you've been given a super invasive plant and you rue the day that you were given this plant, let me know. I'd love to hear. I can share with you that I was once given a really fussy houseplant as a Christmas gift. And I do remember just being terrified that I was going to kill it. And if this person came to my house, that they were going to discover that I'd killed their plant. So do maybe have a think about that when you are giving. Don't give anyone a plant that's super high maintenance, that's going to put pressure on them. Now you may be thinking, yeah, this sounds great, Amanda, but I've not done any planning. I haven't got anything to give. I think you probably have. You just need to look at your garden or even your houseplants in a slightly different way. Now I had originally planned to give some salad burnet as gifts. Now if you don't know what salad burnet is, I really recommend that you check out my recent video on perennial vegetables. I'll put a link in the description. But anyway, as you can see, my salad burnet plant is still quite small and I'm not really sure that it's ready to be potted on just yet. But I do have an alternative plant that I can give, and it's also a perennial salad plant. When I look in my garden, I can see that I've got quite a few sorrel, and to be honest, I've got more sorrel than I need. So it's going to be absolutely no trouble for me to dig up one of these plants, put it in a pot and give it to someone. You know, it's a really great plant. It has beautiful, beautiful foliage, such stunning leaves. It almost looks tropical to me. And yeah, you can eat them. You can put them in salads. You can cook them, say, like you can use it a bit like you would spinach, I guess. So yeah, that would be an absolutely fantastic gift. If you haven't got a garden, pick any of the houseplants that you have in your house that are multi-stemmed. Now, what do I mean by that? You want to make sure when you look at the pot that there are several stems coming up. You know, you don't want one stem with leaves coming off it, because then you really do need to take cuttings and you probably have left it too late. But if you have these multi-stem plants, have a go at gently removing the plant from the pot and looking at the root ball. What you may find is that you actually have several plants in one pot, in which case that's going to be super easy just to separate off one of the plants and put it in a separate pot. If they are all connected in one kind of unified root, I would suggest very gently cutting off one of those stems, you know, getting it out of the root and putting it in a new pot. Obviously, do make sure that you leave behind enough of the plant so that you're not actually killing the original plant. But otherwise, you know, why not give it a go? The worst thing that can happen is that it doesn't take, and you may well find that you're able to grow a brand new plant. Now, enough teasing from me. What is this plant? Did you guess? Now the leaves almost look a little bit like a box plant, don't they? But I'm told that you can absolutely eat these fruits and they are delicious. Well, this is a strawberry myrtle Chilean guava. What a mouthful. Couldn't someone give me something that was easier to say? Yeah, I'm really looking forward to planting this in my garden. Now, it's come in this very small pot, and I'm going to guess that the nursery put it in this pot just for shipping purposes because it's very small in comparison to the size of the plant. So what I want to do is I want to get this out of the pot as soon as possible. I mean, that is another great thing about giving plants as gifts, is that you really shouldn't wait until Christmas Day to open them. You can break that rule. Now the soil at this time of year is probably a bit too cold to be planting directly into. Albeit where I am, it's not rock hard, so it is possible, but I'm aware that the really, really cold months are just around the corner. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plant this into a deep pot, so the ones that I got my currants in, and I'm going to put them in there over the winter and then plant these into my garden in the spring. So if I take this out of the pot, you'll see why it's so important to get this transplanted now and not to wait until the spring. Oh wow, that's really root bound. Bear with me. Oh, gosh. Oh wow, yeah, that does not want to come out. Okay, so yeah, I've actually resorted to ripping the pot. That's probably not how you're meant to do it. But yeah, look how root bound that is. So let me just tease out some of the roots. Hey, maybe it has been growing in this all that time then. Must be, right? If it's that root bound. Huh. Okay, yeah, but it's going to be a lot happier in the pot like that. Okay, so that's the first one all planted up. I've just got to do the second one now. Hey, so look at that. I feel like they look happier already, but I'm probably just imagining that. But look, I just wanted to show you them in their lovely deep pots. Yeah, they're going to have lots of room to kind of grow and get their feet into over the winter. Now that's the end of the video. I do hope that you enjoyed. Please like, leave your comments about those gifts. And if you haven't already done so, then please do subscribe because it really does help the channel. And until next time, thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.